You know, someone that I didn't expect to be proven right by the internet is clavicular.
What can parents do to get ahead of looksmaxxing?
Maximize the potential. Because people find them attractive, that any action that's like inhumane, it's dropped within 2 weeks, gets forgotten.
Keep you in the room, but they open doors. And
looksmaxxing is the furthest extent that you could take self-improvement.
Get the opportunity quite as easily, you know.
It's very obvious that, you know, the face is more important than the physique.
It was something I asked my mom when I was little, you know.
Looks don't matter. Why was Chris Brown able to beat Rihanna and still be a cultural icon?
This guy started limit testing what influencers can get away with as long as they are attractive, proving that he cannot get canceled as long as he looks good doing it.
Being friends with ugly people is so emotionally taxing.
Not that I
agree. I used to be friends with ugly people, and they were just comfortable with their ugly
Maximize the potential of
Just
your
that,
physical appearance. You don't need to develop a personality. You don't need to get an education. And sort of time and time again, the internet has proven this much. Every comment section of every single thing is the same. He could run over your mom, and the comment section could say like, "Oh, why is he kind of funny?" Nah, he's like actually like such a complex character.
Because here's the thing, I'm a bad person. We all know that. Everybody knows that, okay? But that's because I'm being true to myself as an attractive because I can.
Experiencing similar unrealistic beauty ideals for a long time, since the beginning of time, actually. But this is something that's impacting our young men. If their kids are
ugly, I would have to make up for the fact that I was ugly by being nice to everybody.
And they're feeling
it would be horrible, and you wouldn't be able to trust me if I did that. It's very unfair that ugly people can't show their true colors, but it's also unfair that we have to live their lives as a
more significant efforts to gain muscle.
Are y'all actually being serious?
I
would say go ahead,
that could be a potential sign of concern.
New York, inside of you, or whatever we say.
Your son in particular is suddenly unable to
gotta meet up with CEO looks me. You want to get to the bottom of this question. When I find out the answers to what everyone wants to know.
So just paying attention to your child and noticing if there are changes in cognitive
Let's keep clean.
appearance,
That shit,
and
rather
also
than
physical differences.
that cannot be good for the school. You want to have skin, clear skin. It's suboptimal. It's not it. It's not. I'm trying to get the Raising Canes. I don't even know where I'm at, to be honest. That's the thing about this whole looksmaxxing issue. Like, I don't got the discipline for all that. I be liking my sweets. I like what I eat. Pause. But yo, I can't find this Raising Cane. It's probably upstairs. So we want to find this shit in a second. Take your time. Yo. New York, I'm inside of you. Pause. NYC, I'm INSID. What's that mean? I'm inside of you. New York, I'm inside of you. We outside, we lay. We bright as hell outside. You want to talk to plenty of people. There's plenty of heads out here. But the question is, how many of them will actually want to talk back? You know, they all look good. I'm looking clean. As you can see, House Street is bustle. It's busier than a motherfucker. But when people are doing their thing, they're running. The question is, who is going to want to be in this documentary? I got a lot to ask, and a lot of people in New York, I feel like they have strong opinions. You can't get more melted than this. It's a place where you can do whatever. No one's going to ask questions. And it takes a certain level of ease to be able to run these streets. That's what niggas don't know. So, wait for Dex. As soon as he pops out, we're gonna get to the bottom of this shit. Look who it is. Look who it is.
Yo.
Yo.
What's up?
Who we here with? What's up?
Dexpilled. So I get a lot of these comments saying, Dexter, you're always violating yourself. Dexter, do you hate yourself? Why are you so hard on your personality?
Listen, it's mog or be mog. You don't want
need
to
get
use
as attractive as possible.
You don't want to use peptides. Okay. Be doing everything in your power to life as good as possible. You don't want to do all these things, but whenever someone else does and they mog you,
never gesture. You don't know what gesturing is.
Talk to us. Yo, you're hype mogging me, bro.
Yeah, man, I got the boots on today. You know, I had to.
Yo, you got all these in person on. Let me dab my man's up. Yo, so one nigga dab, where we at? What state are we in?
We're in New York City. We're in New York City at Penn Station. New York is amazing. New York is amazing.
What do you like about it most, so far, at least?
The people. There's just so much stuff going on. So many different types of people. I'm from Texas. I'm from Austin, Texas.
That's different.
So it's not like this at all. Completely different vibe, but I love it. You see the honking?
Yeah. It's you can't get better than this. It's just busy.
Yeah.
But we want to get back to y'all. We're going to find a location. We're going to we're going to set up. But listen, today's going to be a great day. We're going to have a lot of good conversation. We're here with Dexpilled. We're going to go crazy.
And we're here with Dexpilled on TikTok.
We're here at Dexpilled on TikTok. We're going to be talking about a lot of topics today. You know, right now it's 2026, the big 06, the big 26. and basically, there's only one question on everyone's mind. What is looksmaxxing? And do looks matter?
Of course, looks matter.
Today we're going to talk about the main key points of looks. We're going to talk about the vocabulary of looksmaxxing. We're going to talk about looksmaxxing versus black pill. We're going to talk about the black community and their relation to looksmaxxing, and whether or not there's something to be concerned about, or maybe it's something to be embraced. So, without further ado, and without any further introduction, the man, the myth, the legend himself.
It's Dexpilled. It's nice to meet you, Jay. Finally, we've conversed back and forth online. So it's good to see you in person. We're in New York City, you know, the best city in the world, allegedly, apparently, according to some sources.
Overly. I have a question for you, okay? We have a lot of questions. We're going to cover a lot of topics today. We want to try our best with the time we have. So, first question for you is, how do you define looksmaxxing and the black pill? What is even Dexpilled? What do you represent? What do you believe? And what do you feel as though, you know, someone should take away from your own content?
I'll start with the important parts first. So what is looksmaxxing? It's improving one's appearance. You know, in 2026, like we mentioned earlier, you know, your looks are highly important, not just with attracting the opposite gender or even the same gender, just the way you're treated by people in authority figures, how you're viewed and looked at. You can get the halo effect or get the horn effect. So it really encompasses all of your life. So it's incumbent upon everyone to looksmax to a certain degree. So what is the BP? The BP is essentially that genetics determine everything, right? And I will admit that I do believe that genetics determine a lot, right? They say that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, saying that you're going to be similar to your parents. And in a lot of ways, I am very similar to my family members. And a lot of people can say that about themselves as well. So that's the BP. And so what am I? Dexpilled. So I would say I'm a looksmaxxing creator, obviously. I believe in the looksmaxxing ideology. I just want people to improve their looks. You know, I started off at a spot where my looks were very unideal, and I faced a lot of backlash. It was hard growing up. I wasn't able to get girls. People didn't take me seriously. And in a lot of situations, I wasn't viewed as intelligent as, I think I'm a smart guy, right? So overall, a lot of negatives whenever I was really unattractive. And I'm not saying I'm the most attractive guy ever by any means, but I've definitely increased my attraction. And I've seen with that increase in attraction, increases in the opposite gender, increases in the way I'm perceived, increases in whenever I do something, people don't automatically take the worst case scenario. They give me a lot more charity in my actions. So yeah, I just want people to looksmax at the end of the day, take this information, do something with it, and make their lives a little bit better.
Okay, so if I'm understanding you correctly, your philosophy is more so, you know, someone being the best version of all that they have, as opposed to looksmaxxing is a tool more than a philosophy in and of itself. Whereas a black pill, you would define that more as maybe a philosophical approach towards life, of understanding that you are who you are in a way. Dexpilled is more like, okay, you are who you are. Let's use looksmaxxing as a tool. Otherwise, you're going to be suffering a more difficult life.
So looksmaxxing is more like having various tools in a toolkit, right? There's not a one size fits all. Like some people, they might require certain surgeries or certain whatever that another person might not require. So it's obviously very nuanced and it's person to person based. But there are a few that are generally considered pretty good, like losing body fat. That's great. Getting your skin in good condition. That's great. You know, fixing a receding hairline. That's great. But sometimes it's not enough. So that's when we go into maybe other routes.
Now, when you say something and sometimes is not enough, are we saying that the actions, the procedures, the actions taken to mitigate, you know, these deficits in looks isn't enough, or are we saying that looks as a whole is not enough?
I'm saying that what I mentioned before, the losing body fat, fixing hairline, cleaning skin, that might not be enough to get someone from unattractive to average or even above average attractiveness. So sometimes they might need to look into potential surgeries, right? Like if one has a recessed chin, like a chin like this, like Bob's Burgers characters, you can lose all the weight you want, but you're still not going to have an ideal chin. You might need to look into something like a genioplasty or BSSO to add some more mandible length.
Looks, you're saying, improves parts of your life. It allows you to have better success, whether it's with, you know, a romantic partner, whether it's in the workplace, maybe if it's, you know, how people just perceive the actions you do. My question is, at what limit does it stop? Do you continually just do it until you hit a stopping point? Is there a stopping point? Like, are there levels to this? I've heard like there is a lot of vocabulary. I see Chad, Tyrone, Chad Light, normies, all this stuff. What does it mean?
So to answer your first question, does the looksmaxxing ever stop? And I get asked this question a lot by my friends, family members, and I would say it's more maintaining after a certain point. Let's say, you've lost weight, you've got your skin healthy, you've got all these different things. You have to maintain that. You can't just lose weight and then, okay, after you lose the weight, you just let go of everything, right? Or if you get your skin healthy, you can't get your skin healthy and then it's like, okay, it's over with. So I think it's a continuous process of just a lot of maintenance after you reach a certain level. So that's the answer to that question. The tier list, yeah, there are tiers. It goes sub 3. Well, it really goes subhuman, sub 3, sub 5, LTN, MTN, HTN, Chad Light, and then Chad. So those are the tier list rankings. And a funny thing about them is that LTN is actually average. You would think MTN, mid-tier normie, would be average, but the average guy, at least in the United States, is a high LTN.
So now, with all this vocabulary, all this knowledge, how does one acquire this information? I feel like we've seen more of an underground perspective of these things for the past, however long of a decade it's been. As of late, we've seen a rise of, personalities and popular figures, for example, like a clavicular, getting on interviews, going to fashion shows, walking, modeling, things of that nature, where maybe a year or two ago with, other, prominent figures, it was more closeted, underground. Do you feel as though there's a reason for this change, an awakening perhaps? Do you think our country is being more aware of and hip of certain, let's say, ideologies as a result of economics, maybe sociology? What do you think?
So I think it's undeniable, the importance of looks. If you take an honest assessment of your life and the lives of those around you, you will see that looks have played a humongous role in your life and their life as well. Growing up, people often ask me, Dex, how did you get into this mess? You're black, this is a very wide space, so let's talk about it. Growing up, I was friends with a lot of attractive individuals, a lot of attractive guys, and seeing the way they were treated by women, not only that, but just day to day, their life was just so much easier, it seemed like, for no reason. First, I'd say, okay, maybe it's a race thing. Wait a second, these guys are black. They're dark skinned like me. They're light skinned, some of them. Wait, it might be a neurodivergent thing. No, one of them is neurodivergent. He still does fine. Maybe it's a socioeconomic thing. Wait a second, we're all on the same socioeconomic tier. So what is the one variable that's different? And it's our skulls, unfortunately. So if you take an honest assessment of your life, you'll see that people who look better, on average, get treated a lot better and they have better results whenever they go into things. And if you're more unattractive, you don't get any favors done by society. So
do you think this leads to a negative mindset? Do you feel as though the Looksmaxxing, black pill, even the very nature of comparison to others is a dangerous rabbit hole? I'm wondering if it's only going to lead towards a societal fallout where we're always trying to reach, or at least a lot of people are trying to reach a certain standard where it's almost like we're all just looking like the same. I mean, I've seen on TikTok, I'll be scrolling and I'll find like a BP verse on my feed, and I feel like they all kind of just have a similar features, a feature list, look very similar. It's almost like jarring and or uncanny at times. Now, I'm not saying that's where you fall, but I've seen a lot of people like that in creators. Why do you think it's almost homogenous? I believe is the word.
Are you asking if Looksmaxxing leads to a one face shape that's seen as ideal?
Correct.
You're asking?
Yeah.
Well, I don't really think that's the case. There are a lot of variation between objectively attractive people. Like for black people, Broderick Hunter, he looks like a very West African person. I think he might be half Nigerian, half African American, right? He has big lips, a broad nose. Tyson Beckford, also, a black individual with big lips, bigger sized nose. So it's not really about fitting one perfect, ratio or whatever. It's about having features that harmonize well together, and features that make sense for your phenotype as well. So
talk to me about being a black man in this space, in a very, I would say, widely white dominated space, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
I would say so, yeah. Us black people, we really are, if you kind of shift from the norm, there's going to be a lot of pushback, but I think that us as black individuals, we could benefit greatly from Looksmaxxing. It's obvious, it's so apparent that if you increase your attractiveness, you will have better results in life, right? So why wouldn't I want black people to have those results?
Let me ask you this question though. Don't you think attractiveness is subjective depending on so many factors, like where you're at, the people that you associate yourself with, maybe who you're even going for? Or do you think it really is just, cookie cutter dry?
I think subjectivity does play a role, but generally speaking, it is objective. Like if I show you Broderick Hunter, you're going to be like, okay, this is an attractive guy. If I show you Tyson Beckford, okay, this is an attractive guy. If I show you, I don't know, whoever else is, like Kelly Oubre, okay, this is an attractive guy. So I think it's mainly objective, but subjectivity can come into play whenever you're kind of in the MTN, mid-tier normie range. That's whenever types can come into play.
Let's say, for example, Sinners. You know, we just had Michael B. Jordan doing his amazing thing, great actor. There was a whole debate on who was finer, Smoke or Stack. How does do things like that occur? They're the same, literally the same person, same actor. You know what I'm saying? Just maybe the slightest different mannerisms. You know, how does that occur? Why these are such a widely held debate about who looks better out of two of the same individuals?
So I didn't watch Sinners. So Michael B. Jordan was the same person?
You didn't see the trailer?
I didn't know.
Bro, Sinners, Michael B. Jordan. Michael B. Jordan, for anyone who hasn't seen Sinners, it's him and his twin brother Stack and Smoke, and he played both characters. And it was a hot button topic. Everyone was like, Smoke is finer because he's, he can take care of me, he's disciplined, he knows how to like stand on business. No, Stack is cuter, he's finer, he's better, he's like carefree, he's lighthearted, etc., etc. Same people, you know what I'm saying?
So I would say they probably find Smoke and Stack, that's their name?
Correct.
They probably found Smoke and Stack attractive, right?
Okay.
Similarly. So, I mean, people can have preferences when it comes to clothing. Like somebody might like a street style, somebody might like a corporate style. But the same people that found Smoke attractive probably found Stack attractive, even though they're the same person. So given that they don't have any like changes in their hair or facial hair or whatever, I don't know. So I'm just, shooting blank here. But
so in a way, it's like all things created equal. They're already on the same playing field.
Yeah, they're on it. Given that what I just mentioned, the hair, the facial hair, and whatnot, body fat
they look pretty much the same. The outfit's a little bit different.
Okay.
Fun fact: Smoke, since he's more structured, he's always like adjusting his tie, cigarette most times. Stack has like a grill, more thuggish feature, etc., etc. I have a question for the viewers, for the audience, and especially for you.
Yeah.
Are we putting attractiveness on the same playing field as compatibility, as financial status, as ability to have emotional intelligence or even regular intelligence? Take for me, as my own example, I may be attracted to someone, I may like someone's personality, but when I actually get to know them, maybe they have like a super annoying response to things I do. Maybe they have like this one quirk or feature that I just can't get past. How does one now say that just fixing your looks, getting yourself on a certain level can fix and be the answer to life's problems?
So I think that looks definitely play a humongous role, like I've been saying, right? So let's say you have a girl, you think she's really hot, she's very attractive, but some of her personality traits aren't ideal for a long-term relationship. You are going to want a short-term relationship, or if you know what I mean by that, you're going to want to, for better or for worse, use her attraction for yourself, right? So it definitely comes into play for long-term relationships. As people get older, they start thinking about these things. They think about personality types. They think about, financial status. But for a one-night stand, looks are pretty much all that matters.
Now, you're saying as they get older, when does this shift in age occur? And I'm going to also follow up with, do you think that this is all a result of our current economic climate, our atmosphere? Is this, what I see red pill people be talking about, sexual revolution, the fact that, women have more choice in the workplace and even in choice in selecting a partner. So you said, when people get older, start to consider more important things like personality, how well they can take care of you. Does this maybe happen at all for anyone earlier, or do you feel as though it's a certain shift that occurs? Do you think maybe it's just more important for, particular genders or sexes, or do you think it's all across the board?
I think it's all across the board, and it's really a maturity thing. At our young age, I'm only 23, by the way. I'm 23.
You're not Unc?
I'm not Unc, no. A lot of the times we're looking to have fun. We want to go out to the clubs. We're not really worried about our futures, and that's pretty common throughout people within our age ranges. But as we get older, that youthful glow, that light in our eyes kind of dims, and we kind of start to set in with reality, and we realize that it might be best to have kids, start a family, go down the typical route for our gender. So I think it's more of like a maturity thing. It's just people get older, their priorities shift, they start long-term planning, their age starts to show, and then they start focusing and honing in on those types of characteristics. Now, that's not to say that infidelity doesn't happen, right? Attraction still plays a humongous role, even at an older age. We've seen people be in relationships when they cheat with somebody who's more attractive, or maybe one of the partners lets themselves go, right, and they don't find this individual attractive anymore, so they go to somebody else that does pique their interest. But for settling down, I'd say at the older ages, people really consider like financial status, job title, stuff like that more.
Now, following up with what you say, it sounds like you're saying across the board, as people get older, they value things on a higher level than when they were younger. And that completely makes sense. If I'm 13 years old, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, I'm going to be different than how I am at 26, 27, 36, 37. The people that we're seeing in the media, for example, like Leonardo DiCaprio, who cannot hold a relationship for more than 6 months at max. And then every time he's in a relationship, he's going for young ladies. Or let's say, for example, Tom Brady or Steph Curry in their relationship issues. And not to even mention, we have Beyonce. I'm so confused. How does a woman like Beyonce get cheated on by a guy like Jay-Z? Can we explain that? Why does Beyonce stay with a guy like Jay-Z? Why do we see, chopped men, for example, with the most beautiful woman, even into long age? But we're also seeing individuals that can't maintain, a relationship, something that you think would be helpful to have kids, have a family, that, a point in life in a stage where you're expected to have that.
So I would say relationships are very nuanced. Oftentimes people will say, like, Looksmaxers, go outside, you'll see chopped guys. You'll see chopped guys in relationships. It actually doesn't matter that much, but we have to dig underneath the surface to find the true meaning. Remember, Tina Turner was beat on by Ike Turner for countless years, and nobody knew anything. In a lot of relationships, you can't judge by what you see on the surface. You have to get into the nitty-gritty. Is this person being treated properly in the relationship? Are they getting gifts or favors? Are they treated properly by their significant other? And this goes for both parties. So we can't just look and say, okay, this is a chopped guy with a good-looking girl, and assume that everything is equal, that he's being treated properly and whatnot. Whenever you don't use your looks as leverage, you'll find that you have to kind of really overcompensate and maybe even start gesture maxing, as people would say.
Can you explain the word gesture maxing for the audience?
Gesture maxing, my understanding of it is doing things outside of yourself to impress others.
Okay. So, for example, Kai Cenat, gesture maxing would look like going crazy, going insane, like on like alive. If that's not his genuine personality, reacting to like a music video with extreme intensity for attention. Essentially. Now, do you find a lot of people do that in a regular day-to-day if their looks don't compensate? Or?
Yeah, it's something that you find pretty often. And I was speaking to a friend about this. We know a guy, pretty personally, and there's a lot of gesturing going on, and it might be compensation. Like, the stereotype is that fat guys are generally very funny, right? Like, that's a very common stereotype. Not saying that they're gestures or whatever, but that's their way of leverage, because their looks are probably poor if they're overweight, and so they use that to get some type of positive reinforcement.
I hear you, but that sounds like what people would just say as having a personality. I guess your point, if I had to guess, would be like, if you look good enough, you won't even need a personality?
Essentially, yeah. And I was talking to my friend today about this, actually, I swear to God. He used to be 320 pounds, and we had the discussion about gesture maxing, and he said, I'm actually a lot less funnier now than I was before because I don't have to overcompensate for my weight. So it's an interesting thing to see play out.
It's almost like, the weird girl effect, the girl that is first, glasses, messy hair, whatever the stereotype is. Suddenly she has a makeover, something changes, she gets a BBL bandit, the guy gets the leg extension surgery, and then all of a sudden, he's almost still adjusting to what it's like to be in this quote-unquote new body. The girl's wondering why, or is everyone approaching her but doesn't like her for her personality, and the guy's wondering, why is it that, everyone is, attracted, alert to him, even though he's not really a changed person. He still has these traits of who he was before inside. What do you think about that syndrome? Do you think people can really overcome their own trauma, who they were before in the past, before changing? Or do you think that's always what's residing in them, and Looksmaxxing is only bringing out and/or removing these unique aspects of their personality?
So I think it's very difficult to get rid of traumatic moments, especially traumatic moments that happen within childhood. If you've been getting constant negative reinforcement throughout your life, it's going to be very difficult for you to understand. Like, let's say you have a huge looks transformation. There's going to be a period of time to where your body doesn't match your mind, and you really need to farm positive reinforcement in order to try to, put aside some of those scars that you've had before. And even then, it's still going to be there in the back of your mind.
We're seeing a rise of looksmaxxing, black pill, people like clavicular, really just driving certain narratives, or at least driving the conversation publicly. We're seeing, certain people, certain outcomes as a result of looksmaxxing, as a result of black pill philosophy, especially in young men, and especially of those younger, let's say Gen Z, some older. But do you think this is overall positive and negative? Why do you think so many young men, especially ones that love controversial figures, are drawn to looksmaxxing and black pill philosophy?
Once again, I would say because it's almost undeniable. You see the results of lookism play out in real life. Once again, I'm going to, beat an old drum. It's like, if you have attractive people around you, you're going to see how they're treated. And if you're unattractive, you're going to see how you're treated and compare the two. So it's one of those self-fulfilling prophecies where it's like, you see it play out online, right? You watch whatever, you see a guy post a video of him doing this or whatever and getting a lot of comments and fans. Okay, maybe it's just an online thing, right? It's not that big of a deal. Then you go into real life and you kind of see the same thing happen. Maybe not to the same extent as the online version, but on a micro level, you see the same thing. So it's very hard to deny whenever you see it in real life.
It's like what Taylor Swift said, like, he likes short skirts, I wear t-shirts. You're seeing it publicly. But more specifically, why do you think that it's so dramatized, so very, let's say, cuckery? It's a lot of cuckery in the community. People imagining that, their girls getting, well, maybe not imagining and experiencing, maybe both, maybe either or, that, their Chad is coming in to take away the damsel in distress. Or let's say, they're going to come in, get mobbed by someone that, is of the same, archetype, phenotype of them, and they feel as though now, like, this person is of a higher status than them as an individual. Why does this occur? Do you think this is overall insecurity as a result of these experiences, or is it something maybe deeper or more sinister than that?
I think it's both, right? If you've experienced your girl getting taken, it's not a good feeling, and some people probably have experienced it, but I think it's more of this. One of the worst things that could happen to a man or a woman is getting their partner taken just based off of looks. That's, rappers talk about it, like Future's always talking about taking someone's, taking somebody's person and doing this and that. So yeah, it could be a huge insecurity. Like, that's something that a lot of people worry about, right? And if there's somebody that has these skill sets or whatever, has the height, has the money, has the status, has the looks, I think it's a valid concern. Now, you shouldn't stress yourself out about it, but you should make sure that you mitigate that risk as much as possible. So
my concern though is, why is it so red pill adjacent? Do you believe in the red pill? What are your thoughts on the red pill, or at least maybe figures that spearhead conversations and kind of have negative viewpoints on women? You haven't really said anything that I feel as though has been negative or harsh towards the opposite sex, or even those that may not be widely represented. Most times people that are black pill tend to be women haters, from what I've seen. Maybe have animosity towards not receiving attention, positive validation. Do you think this is a problem to have such sensational content creators making people view this as really pushing back against those that have brought them down?
Yeah, I don't, for myself personally, I don't believe in holding resentment towards others and holding anger towards others. It doesn't do anything. It might help you achieve a goal, but on the way to achieving that goal, you're going to cause yourself a lot of issues. So I don't think that's the smartest way to go about it. Look, things happen. People are going to choose whoever they want to choose. It is what it is. You kind of have to detach yourself from that situation. So I don't think it's good to hold anger or animosity towards people. I think it doesn't solve anything, actually.
So generally, do you feel as though people are aware of this truth? Do you think if you ask an individual on the street whether or not looks matters, they're going to be honest, or do you think they're going to just come up with with other things? I think I've heard most people would say like they want the nerdy guy, or they really mean like an attractive nerdy guy, or they want, you know, the anime nerd. They want the attractive anime nerd, which is kind of like fair. I mean, just because you like those things doesn't mean you're going to receive positive attention for it if you're not necessarily a positive looking person. What do you think?
So I think everybody is aware subconsciously of the importance of looks, but it comes off as very vain whenever you say that you want someone that has X, Y, and Z trait in their face or height or whatever. So I think we all internally know this, but to go out and say it, might come with some negative social consequences. So people typically tend to virtue signal and act like attractiveness, looks doesn't matter.
Can you define that? What is virtue signaling to you?
For example, let's say you have a guy, right? He's super overweight, he's balding. People would say like, oh, you know what? Actually, you know, I'll give myself as an example. Whenever I looked like, you can put a picture, like whenever I looked like this, people said that I was fine. They said that I had no issues and that it was probably your personality that's causing you to have these troubles with life in general. And now I don't think that they were intentionally lying, or they didn't really understand the full scope of the situation, but they didn't want to hurt my feelings. And sometimes you have to feel pain. It's better to feel pain short term than to try to delay it and mitigate it for a different time. Because all that's doing is wasting precious time of your youth or whatever that you could be using to fix these issues.
So you're of the nature where, you know, if there's a truth, just lay it out, be honest, take it how it is. Don't put any sugar in the medicine.
No, I think you have to be tactful. That's one of the best lessons I've learned in my life, because I used to be very just direct, blunt, no holding back. But people don't receive that information. The majority of people don't receive that well. So you have to use tact. Obviously, don't lie. Lying to people about attractiveness is terrible. You shouldn't do that. But be tactful in your words and how you approach it, because you don't want to stray people away from doing something that could potentially help them out in their life.
Now, I want to ask you, what is your goal with Dexpilled? But before we go there, you said something very interesting. You don't want to, you know, delay someone to do something good for them. What about the philosophy do you think leads people to the good? What about the people that are led to, you know, negative areas, dark places as a result of this awareness or knowledge? If we're bringing it back to the pilled example, you know, you can take either the red pill or the blue pill in the movie The Matrix. Now, in the movie The Matrix, Neo had a choice, and sometimes people don't have the choice to receive this. They learn through experience. People say ignorance is bliss. In the Matrix, the movie Matrix, we're using the pilled example. We have red pill, blue pill. Neo had to make a choice of whether or not, you know, he was to understand the realities of the universe or not. Do you think your motives, your actions are actually leading people towards, you know, positiveness, you know, bettering themselves, or do you think they're going more towards, you know, a dark place? I'm sure there are people out here that have discovered these, you know, truths or opinions and have come to the conclusion that it's not worth it. They don't want to deal with it, or maybe they've come to the position where they're just gonna separate themselves, not even try, and just go full in on, you know, apathy.
Yeah. So I think it's always good to operate in truth. You never want to delude yourself in any aspect of your life. Because one, let's say you operate in truth and you have some things that can be solved. You go out and you solve those things and you live a better life. But a lot of the times, whenever you're not aware of the importance of looks, you start to blame yourself. Me personally, growing up, a lot of people were like, you know, it's your personality, you know, it's the way you dress. And it led me down a lot of routes where I wasn't even acting like myself. And I would have to wear a mask and be something that I wasn't. And it caused me a lot of internal turmoil. Now that I understand the importance of looks, it's kind of like, it is what it is. You're either attracted to me or you're not. It's really not big. Like, I don't really stress about these things anymore, honestly.
So I'm hearing you, but do you think I think that's more of a you personality characteristic of your own personality. I think a lot of people can't really, you know, as you said, you had to operate with tact for a lot of people. If you were to flip it, that means most people probably wouldn't be able to handle the truth as well as you do.
Yes.
What do you say to those individuals that are out there, you know, suffering from awareness, you know, feeling as though that, you know, there's nothing good, nothing that can save them, to beyond fixing? What do they say? Like, they be saying, like, if you're like below sub 5 or whatever, you should consider maxing in areas that are not healthy. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know if they're speaking about maxing in areas that should be unhealthy.
To be more specific, rope maxing.
Yeah, obviously, like, you shouldn't do that, right? But at least you understand why you might not get certain attraction. You can focus on doing things that you like in life and understand that it's not you. It's not really your personality. It's not X, Y, and Z. It's majority maybe your face and height. So
But do you think you can fix that? What if you are people?
You can.
Is there anyone that's beyond fixing saving? Like majority facing height is a very strong statement.
I would say that the majority of people can achieve some sort of positive effects from looksmaxxing. Obviously, there's always outliers to where things won't really apply to them. But for the majority of people, like average people, even people below average, they can benefit a lot from looksmaxxing.
Okay, so you were kind of just wrapping it by saying facing the height, that's kind of like the most simplest way.
Now, it's more nuanced than that, right? Like it's face, height, frame, and yes, personality actually does come into play, right? Now, not nearly as much as face, height, frame.
Not nearly?
Not nearly as much. It's still important. Like if you want to attract the opposite gender, you have to have like a, know how to have a good time, be fun, not too serious. That's why I'm not red pill, because they tell you to act a certain way, and it's like a lot of incongruency can happen there whenever you're acting like something you're not. Right?
Facts. But, Jester maxing.
Yeah, Jester maxing or mask, whatever you want to call it, right? But I do think it is important to be able to have a nice time, lead an adventure, do stuff like that, and overall be a positive person. But I do think that by a wide margin, looks outweighs that.
So, as we start to wrap up, I got a few more questions. I'm going to try to be brief. Example 1. If you were to draw out maybe a pie graph of the percentages and the weight of looks, let's say personality / character, and maybe a miscellaneous category and / or whatever you'd want to add there, how would you break down these components? Because you said, for example, like your personality, isn't really nearly as much as looks. So that's talking about at least 50-60%, maybe even higher or lower. What's your breakdown?
So if we're considering looks, status, money, all of this, or just looks and personality?
I would say all the things that go into compatibility.
I would say status can probably get you the most attraction, but not attraction, get you the most play, for lack of a better term, from the opposite gender.
And can you define what the status means?
Status means like young thug, right? Like young thug, everybody clowns young thug for not being attractive.
No.
But since he has so much status, he can overcompensate for his looks. So that's what I mean by status. Somebody
kind of like a, Kevin Hart.
Somebody who's famous, who has a lot of notoriety. When you go out, they get recognized, they have a lot of followers and whatnot. So, but the issue with that is it's not actual attraction to the person, it's attraction to whatever the thing is. If they're a famous TikToker, a famous YouTuber, so it's not as primal as, pure attraction is.
All right, so I'm gonna kind of ask you a bit of a deeper question here. You say that they can never really love you for you if they're loving you for your quote unquote status. Mm-hmm. Status is more or less just what you do, or what you've achieved as a result of what you've done. What if my personality, my character is tied to my status because I'm very disciplined, I'm hardworking, I want to be valued for my hard work, my tenacity. There are people out there that have commended me, and part of me feels the type of way because it's like, oh, like you see how much work I put into X, Y, or Z. That hits more different to me than you saying, oh, you look good, so I like you. I've never really been interested in that. Before I ask my follow-up question, what do you think about that? Do you think status is really just so cliche or trite? Or do you think that could be more reflective of an inner light, or something?
I think it depends, because a lot of people conflate status with assets, and there is a correlation there, right? Like Kevin Hart has a lot of assets. He has a lot, like cool cars, a nice estate, access to certain rooms that a lot of people can't get into, right? So I think that's what I mean by status. It's really status and money and access to things. That's what kind of matters a lot, honestly.
So it's really just the gaudiness. It's like if I had $1 billion but I didn't use or share any of it, I wouldn't be considered, and I didn't have any notoriety. I was an anonymous billionaire, walking around, a god among us. Would that be kind of like status without actually having status, for example?
Yeah,
or is it the person I am?
It would be status without having status, because there are a lot of hardworking, respectable, commendable people, but you see how they're treated sometimes in society. They're kind of tossed aside. They don't really care about them. It is, just kind of whatever. So I think that you kind of need to have some sort of assets or some sort
tangible, physical.
Yeah, like assets or like a follower count. Not saying that I'm necessarily trying to do this, but just in general with status, if you have those things, it'll provide more benefits to you than being a good person. Because unfortunately in this society, a lot of negative people,
I kind of agree with that. In terms of like society.
Yeah, I'm not saying go out and be a bad person.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people who are objectively, like Miles Bridges. Like, let's just be honest.
I forget. Wait,
he's an NBA player who beat his wife on camera, and then now he's playing on the Hornets. You know, a lot of NFL players.
Chris Brown.
If you have leverage, especially a talent, something that leads to status, a lot of your flaws are seen as kind of whatever. So many NFL players, more to count, have raped, beats, hits, done whatever to women or whatnot, and they're still fine. So I don't know if being a good person necessarily gets rewarded in this life, maybe in the life after, but it's one of those unfortunate things.
What if someone actually is attracted to you now as a result of your looks? You say you don't want someone to like you just because, you know, I have these things, I do these things for you. What about someone that's like, oh, he's just hot, he's just sexy, he's just dark skinned, he just looks like Damson Idris? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, isn't that shallow in a way?
It is, but I think humans are shallow, honestly. The majority of humans, they're very shallow. Like, if somebody sees something that they find attractive, they'll overlook all these sorts of flaws, all these sorts of character issues, red flags, or whatever. So I think we're naturally shallow people.
But I'm gonna ask you this, right? Do you think it's possible to feel more alone after looksmaxxing versus before?
That's a good question. Do people feel more alone after looksmaxxing than before? Potentially, because an issue that I've seen is that a lot of guys who have had great ascensions.
Well, hold on. Yeah, I break down. What is an ascension for the people listening, watching?
Going from zero to hero, essentially, for lack of a better term.
Like Hercules going from, you know, whatever.
It's like Clark Kent before and then after, or like Spider-Man.
Well, Clark Kent was fine shit before, right?
Wasn't he like a nerd and kind of skinny, or am I thinking of the wrong person?
Both. Well, Henry Cavill, I don't know.
Yeah.
The guy that built, I ain't gonna lie.
Or maybe like, I don't know, Star Trek. Like the guy before. Cut this part out. Hold on. I'm trying to think of somebody.
I messed up the flow.
Kent was like a normal guy.
It doesn't really make sense because the only difference with Clark Kent and Superman is just the glasses. You know what I'm saying? But that's what people are kind of saying. They're like, "Yo, do you think Lois Lane would choose Clark Kent or whatever?" Like,
I'm thinking of this picture. It was like a meme where he's in like some sort of chamber. Wasn't there like a big change there? Or no?
Oh, that was Peter. Oh, that's Steve Rogers. That's Captain America.
Captain America.
Nah, that's facts. So Captain America. Before he had the super serum.
Yeah, I'm out of the loop with Marvel movies or DC, whatever those movies are. So
you're saying, you know, for example, with like a Captain America continue before he became Captain, all, you know, puffed out, muscular. He was just Steve Rogers, in a chamber, getting the royals.
Yeah, that's what I would say an ascension is. Going from zero, you know, somebody who's kind of unremarkable, to somebody where, you know, you can get some benefits from your looks.
See, for my Marvel people here, there's one scene that we all watched and that we all clapped for when we saw it in theaters. So how familiar are you with the lore of Steve Rogers, Captain America?
I know nothing about it. Fill me in.
Here's the interesting thing, right? And this may be, who knows, media brainwashing, or it might be a hidden truth that you can consider. You know, Thor, he has a hammer. You familiar with his hammer?
Yeah.
How it works?
Yeah.
Yes, but only specific individuals, a select few people can lift that hammer.
Yeah.
You have to be deemed worthy. You have to be deemed of good character, of a heart that is pure and without, I believe, like, you know, evil intention or malice. Steve Rogers, you know, was only selected for this super serum, for this, you know, super soldier experiment because he had jumped on top of a grenade to save his, you know, his counterparts, his fellow soldiers, and, you know, even without the, you know what I'm saying, without the appearance, without the change, he was deemed of good character because we saw in Marvel Endgame Infinity War, he was able to lift up Thor's hammer. So, you know, I thought it was a beautiful scene. I think the messaging is, you know, incredible because he always gets into fights with Tony Stark, which is Iron Man. Why? Iron Man says, you know, everything that's amazing about you came out of a bottle. Whereas Steve says, you know, the only thing that's incredible about you is just, you know, you pay for it. Where does this kind of fit into looksmaxxing? You know, the ideology of, you know, zero to hero ascension, as you were saying, talk about ascension.
Yeah, so I think it can actually make you more lonely. I've noticed a lot of guys who are objectively good looking, they think that they haven't reached that threshold. I think the threshold that you need to be at in order to have, you know, a decent life where you get some bonuses, niche maxing could work. That's fitting into a niche, right? There's different types of archetypes of guys. It's just an
I kind of want to hear the descriptions. Yeah. What are some niches, archetypes of men, women, etc., etc.?
So the niches, I'll say the niches I do best in, or the niches that I do best with. It's corporate black girls, soft hair, soft hair, soft life. Those types of girls I do the best with. People that they consider whitewashed, you know. I do the best with that niche. Why? Because of the way I speak. I know I'm not dressed like it right now, but I'm normally dressed like I work at a private equity shop. So
you'll be putting it on. We like flipping styles.
Yeah. So I would say that's what niches are. So people think that you have to be a Chad or, you know, an Adam or whatever to have a good life. That's not the case. Now, their lives will be infinitely better than yours probably, but you can still have a good, fulfilling life being an MTN.
Not everyone can be a Jacob, guys. It's okay. Listen, be who you are for your pride. Yeah. Keep on being you. But do you think these, you know, tiers are so important as it is just about generally improving? And, you know, you kind of, you know, mentioned a lot of these, you know, terms like Chad, Adam, Jacobs, of course. Do you think this is a really male-dominated space? Have you seen or heard of women in these areas? Do you think they receive more criticism, or do they also partake in, you know, looksmaxxing? I guess, you know, we talk about makeup, beauty. I mean, women have been looksmaxxing for ages. You know, in a way, they've always, you know, talked to any girl. They're going to talk to you about, you know, the importance of, you know, being pretty, being beautiful. Well, how do you think this all plays into society?
So I think that it's more socially acceptable for women to looksmax than men. Right now, if you say that you're wearing BB cream or tinted sunscreen, you're going to get looked at like you're crazy, right? If you say that you use like a waterline pen to increase angularity within your face, your zygomatic region, then people are going to look at you crazy. So I think it's more socially acceptable for them to do looksmaxxing or partake in it, right? But yeah, that's what I think about that.
So do you believe in gender fluidity? Do you think men are in a space where they can now express more of their interests, whether it's, you know, health care, beauty, you know, all these things? Do you think that is good, bad? What are your stances, at least on, if it were makeup, why would that be a problem? You know, people used to say that you were homosexual if you cared about your appearance, and now we live in 2026 where we have metrosexuals, we have, you know what I'm saying, pretty boys, we have Kelly Oubre's, and then we have, you know, JXJAYI. So what are your thoughts?
I think generally, like, I don't like the idea of that you have to have a one size fits all for what a man is. I think that's so stupid, and a lot of it is very it's very manufactured. Like, a lot of guys, they think that like growing a beard, drinking black coffee, shooting a lot of guns, which I like guns, I'm from Texas.
And I like black coffee.
Driving a big lifted truck makes them super masculine. That's not the case, right? I think it's so silly, actually.
How would you define masculinity then?
That's a good question.
Would you even consider yourself masculine?
I wouldn't say I'm the most stereotypically masculine guy, but I would consider masculinity like being a honorable person, being a respectful person, being someone that you can trust, not being like a snaky TMZ article writing type person, being someone with integrity, I'd say. Whenever nobody's looking, how are you treating others? Whenever you're interacting with somebody who's on a lower socio status than you, or maybe has less, whatever, how do you treat them whenever it doesn't really matter how you treat them in actuality? So I'd say that's what makes a man in my definition. It could be different for others.
So someone will stumble upon, you know, Dexpilled on their For You page. You know, how do you want them to feel? What is the end goal? Where do you want them to go with, you know, learning about this? Do you want them to enter the rabbit hole and, you know, find themselves questioning, you know, their whole life, like how things have come together, where they are now? Do you want them to stay, you know, have, you know, just this one video, experience it, keep it pushing? Do you want them to join your community? Are you trying to build, you know, your own narrative, your own pill? Or do you just want to alter the perception of what already exists?
I want people to, one, get information. A lot of the times in my life, I didn't have the proper insights on why things were happening to me. Right? So I want people to understand that looks are very important, but there are a lot of things you can do to fix some issues that you might have. So I want them to have the information on how they can fix said issues. So that's the main thing. And the end goal, I don't want to create my own pill. I mean, that's not what I'm here for. I really don't know. Right now I just want people to have information, get information. I don't want them to feel a certain way, because sometimes pain is necessary. Sometimes feeling introspective, feeling sad at the moment might be necessary for growth, right? Pressure makes diamonds, right? So I don't know if I necessarily want them to feel a certain way. I just want them to have the information to make educated assessments on themselves, and so they can have a better life in the future.
No, that's a unique perspective, because oftentimes you hear with content creators like, yo, I want these people to come to my account and feel like they just, got a nice warm hug, got entertainment, you know what I'm saying? But, it's however it happens, whether it's a cold truth with some medication, or whether it's, walking away feeling maybe better or prouder than another individual, at least now they know the truth.
Yeah.
So as you mentioned before, you said it tends to be a really niche set of individuals that, are aware of and speak publicly on, Looksmaxxing, the black pill, and especially it's rare for you to find those that are black also engaging in this type of content. Do you feel as though you're kind of like spearheading this? Are you, in a large group of other black Looksmaxers, or do you feel as though you're one of the only ones, at least, that are publicly, talking on TikTok, YouTube about these things?
I would say things that lean on the more like feminine side, a lot of black guys aren't going to be interested in. So because Looksmaxxing involves potential makeup use with like tinted sunscreen, waterline pen, caring about your appearance is seen as very kind of feminine, right? And a lot of black guys, they don't like that. But a lot of them, I've noticed, a lot of us, they're like deal with it. Like they want the information, but they don't want people to know that they're looking into the information. So I say there's a decent cohort of black guys that probably resonate with me because I'm black in this space, right? And they're a part of the community, yeah. So
do you think this whole what is it, thug maxing? Could you explain what that is?
I can explain because I did it myself, right? So I grew up in the suburbs of Austin, Texas, a very safe, place. There was no reason for me to be acting like a thug, but I thought that because in media and the way the black community treats, people that are kind of outside of the norm, I thought being a thug was more advantageous. And what thug maxing is just what it sounds like, acting like a thug, not necessarily dressing like a thug, but more of actions of like being around risky people, engaging in certain behaviors, doing things to get that kind of thug name. That's what thug maxing is to me.
You actually lead me to another question that I feel like is relevant, because you were saying gesture maxing is, I think, outside of your own character, outside of who you are, but in a way, this whole Looksmaxxing thing you said is important to accept the truth, the knowledge. Why not be a thug? Why not lean into those things?
So a common thing that you'll see on like Twitter is like, oh, since we're on the topic of black people, like black girls like thug adjacent, thug guys. And now I don't think that's true. One, in my life, that hasn't been the case. In my friends' life, who are black, by the way, my friends who are black, there is a large cohort of whitewash.
Wait, I'm sorry. You put a lot of emphasis on that.
Yeah, because people are going to, it's like, you'd be surprised. You'd be so surprised. I think that all my friends are like white or something.
Like solely.
Yeah, so you'd be surprised.
That was, he said, you made sure.
Yeah.
You're good.
And there's a large cohort of black girls who are corporate adjacent, whitewash themselves. If they're attracted to you, they're attracted to you. It's not because you're acting a certain type of way. Now, a discussion could be about like, oh yeah, a lot of guys feel like they have to act like thugs in order to get certain respect from the black community at large. That could be a different discussion. But if we're talking about thug maxing for women, I don't think it's the smartest thing to do, because you can go to areas like Atlanta, DC, and find girls that don't have that aesthetic that's typically linked with black women.
I think every guy had the experience, at least every black guy, they want to go on Pinterest, figure out the best haircut, the best hairstyle for them. They look at, black hairstyle, and it comes up someone with like black hair, but it's like 2A, 3B. They don't have like the ethnic features that are considered not enough representation. Maybe if it's locks, maybe if it's actual like a fade or a tape, or a taper. Is there a difference between Looksmaxxing for a black individual versus the general population, or even more specifically white people or different POC or non-POC?
I think so, yeah, because in looksmaxxing, we have certain ratios, right? And a lot of people will use that to slight looksmaxxing and say, well, these ratios, they don't include black people. Well, that's not the case. The ratios that are used for black individuals understand the black phenotype, right? Like black people, we both have big lips, right? Why? Because we're black. We both have larger noses. Why? Because we're black. So all of that's taken into consideration for the most part. Now, you might see people online, or you will see people online who obviously play into certain things. They lack nuance. They don't really know what they're talking about. But if you're interfacing with black looksmaxers, they'll take that into consideration for the most part. So as long as it's within the range of normal for black people, once again, which is going to be larger, then it's going to be okay.
You talking about everything?
That's funny.
Yeah, listen, is dip maxing important?
You know, I've never had to deal with that because I'm just like slanging crazy. So yeah.
I'm asking you two questions. My first question is this: what has your experience been with other looksmaxers? Do you feel as though they have, you know, a negative mindset in general? Do you feel like they're all just very accepting? Do they tend to have similar traits, or do you think they're, you know, just like regular people, regular humans? They're not trying to like run a secret community, underground society, or is it actually similar to that? Question number two. More specifically, what has your experience been like with black looksmaxers? Has that been any different?
Let's start from the end first. Right? My experience with black looksmaxers has been great. You know, good people. Obviously, once again, you're always going to have bad apples, right? But generally speaking, it's been great. There's a lot of mutuals I have on TikTok that are really cool people, right? And looksmaxers as a whole, I haven't faced anything too crazy. Like my comment sections aren't wild or anything. I would say the majority of looksmaxers, OG looksmaxers, probably have some sort of neurodivergence going on. But that doesn't make anyone bad, like, right? That doesn't make me a bad person for being neurodivergent or them a bad person. So I would say it's been generally positive. Once again, there are always going to be bad apples with any group. I feel like with looksmaxxing, it's just kind of over-indexed on for whatever reason.
Listen, we got hashtag Fresh Boy Swag on damn near each of your posts. What is the reason?
I love, if anybody has any contact with Fresh Boy, please put me in contact. Every single video I've posted since December 7th has a Fresh Boy swag or a UK artist tag. I just love his music. I love what he's doing. He's just himself, and I just love it. You know, he's experimental with his beats. Everybody hates on him, but he still does it. He doesn't care. Fresh Boy, I love you. If you see this, please get in contact with me and we can do something. I know you can't come to America. I will come to you, please.
Fresh Boy, he will come to you. Tap in.
Yeah.
But yo, how did Dexpilled start? What is the story behind Dexpilled? You talked about posting since December, just about December 7th, etc. around that range. Bro, you've grown a lot in a short amount of time. How does this happen? Why does it happen? Where did it go?
So I've been creating content for a while now. I first started with 2K. In high school, I loved 2K. I was always in the stage. You know, I was wagering a lot of VC, spent a lot of time doing that. And then as I grew older, I stopped playing video games as much. And then my most recent channel, besides this one, was actually a BP channel. And I would talk about situations, instances where my looks were deemed to be not attractive. And I would speak about it in a funny, you know, lighthearted manner. With all of this, it can be very lonely. Like whenever I first found out about all this look stuff, I was quite sad, really sad. And one of my main things is to make sure people can understand the truth, but not being unneedingly harsh towards them. Because tactfulness is important, understanding this stuff is important, but there's a way to go about it. So how did I start Dexpilled? I mean, looksmaxxing is blowing up. Back then, I had to be in the closet with it. I was DL with my looksmaxxing, right?
DL maxing.
Yeah, I was. So back then, I ended up deleting the channel because I didn't want people to know I knew about looksmaxxing and whatnot. But now that it's in the public zeitgeist, everybody's talking about it. It's like, why not? I have information. I feel like I can convey my information in a decent way. Why not put my foot in the ring? So,
guys, listen. Dex has been one of the most positive people I've ever interacted with in my life. And he's a looksmaxer. I feel like a lot of people come into this, you know, closed ears, not wanting to engage in conversation, maybe even learn. But at the end of the day, you know, people are going to be people. Whether or not we take this information at face value, whether or not we accept what's going on in our current society, you know, what people are waking up to, or maybe are intentionally turning a blind eye to, you know, that's up to you. You know, the choice is yours. And the question is now, like, you know, what do people in general think about looks? You know, who out here has a strong opinion? What do they think about what's going on? Is looks important? Do looks matter? What is looks? What is looksmaxxing? Dex helped us out a lot today. We're going to ask the people of New York. We're going to go find out what's going on. But for the time being, where can people find you? What is your at besides Dexpilled? What platforms, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah.
If it is Dexpilled.
So right now I'm on TikTok, Dexpilled, and I'm on YouTube, Dexpilled Reloaded. Okay. So yeah, that's where I am right now. I'll get to Instagram soon, but for right now, just those two platforms.
Yo, Dexpilled Reloaded. We're here. Jacob, JXJAYI, JXJAYI. Tap in with us. You know, it's been a pleasure having you as my guest today.
Thanks for having me.
Yes,
I appreciate it.
Of course. Now he's got to go listen to some Fresh Boy swag. I want to go talk to some strangers in New York. We're going to see what happens, all right? He wants to know the age-old answer to the question, does looks matter? Well, I'm here to give y'all a fresh POV and a fresh perspective. I think there's an argument to be made here. I don't know if it necessarily is the end-all, be-all. Based on what I heard, everyone is saying different things. So with that being said, we're in the big city, we're in the Big Apple. I'm going to get plenty of perspectives. And, you know, it takes a certain level of order and confidence to come out here. And listen, I'm going to do it for y'all. I'm doing it for y'all. It's not for myself. It's public education. I love insane. But listen, a little bit of insanity can go a long way. So we're going to go ahead, try to find people to ask. Not that many heads outside. It's like 10, 11 p.m. I got assignments that I do. But listen, you just got to do what you got to do, man. And so here we go. Yo, we're outside right now. You know, my luck isn't the best. It's been a long ass day. This tripod damn near about to fall over and break all my setup. But listen, I had to do it for y'all. I'm gonna do what has to get done. We're outside. We're gonna try to find some people to talk to, some interviewees if I may. But after this long ass day, I'm not gonna lie. I am tight cooked. If I'm being honest, I'm really cooked. But the show must go on. And, you know, you only live once. It's important, you know what I'm saying? Get out your shell. Get out your bubble. Talk to strangers. So we're going to find out the true answer. I think I found my next victim. Yo, who we here with? Who we outside with?
Uber, you are.
Yo,
you wholesale on that lot, you going in.
Talk to him. You not you?
Are? Nah, but I be with night job.
Yeah, oh God, you been with the Yoruba?
You know what's up, man. We out here though, New York.
We are big boss out here, you know.
Just a little bit.
It's a city, it's a beautiful night.
For me,
we're talking about beauty, we're talking about wellness, so we're curious.
We're talking about black.
Talking about black excellence. Talking about being ourselves. So, what do you think is the most important thing, you know, when it comes to getting in a relationship, you know, meeting someone nowadays? You think looks is such an important factor? I see you put together, hold on. Let's get the breakdown of fit.
I'm alright with it.
Nah, you got it. Oh, nigga.
So, yo, I think, you're saying if looks is important in day in?
Yeah, well, not even if it's important, but like they trying to say, you know, it's one of the most important things, if not the most important thing. Do you think that's true or do you think that's false?
I think it's the initial thing, right?
I'm here.
Because you gotta see someone to be attractive.
Okay.
But I don't think it's the most important thing. Like me, for instance, it's
use that mic.
My bad. It's too many baddies everywhere. We in New York, right? Everywhere you turn, there's too many baddies.
Neck cracking.
Me, I ain't gonna lie to you.
You get used to it.
To the point where it's like water though.
Yeah,
water everywhere for me. So I
need
tend
some
to
flavor. You need what is more about the water than just looking good.
Right. So we like, you know, extravagant drinks and shit. So I ain't gonna lie to you. I like more than just looks. So I'll meet someone, I'll see you off for looks, then I'll tap into your noggin and see like I'm gonna stop your sexual. So I like to
see. I know what that means, nigga. I know what that means. So you gotta break it down for them.
Sapiosexual means I only get stimulated by the mind and not the physical. So physically, you gonna attract me, but mentally you gonna keep me. So
one more time.
For me, I said physically you gonna attract me, but mentally you gonna keep me. That's how you say.
That's how it be. That's how it be.
So yeah, that's how I move personally. And I think a lot of niggas gotta move like it's New York, baby.
Hey, you get distracted easily, like you chase, you know, what looks good. You won't be cracking your neck at every corner.
For me,
you're not going to find anything of fruition.
For the most part, that's how I move. So initial attraction is beauty and all that, but then permanent attraction, that's the mental. So that's how I move. Yeah,
I respect that. Yo, W answer.
You already know. Yes,
now, what do you think for someone that's out here watching right now? they're not feeling confident. Maybe they think their looks isn't the best, or maybe they think their personality is the best. What would you recommend for them to do? If they chopped, is it over for them, or what can they do instead?
Shit. I wanted to say some inspirational shit.
Keep it a
nigga,
stack.
you chop for real, man.
Keep it a stack.
Try to clean up, get you a little cologne.
Word.
Every chop nigga is a chop shorty. So for me, add a
You
chop
spitting, bro. You spitting. So you low-key saying though, like, you can't be pushing like out of bounds for real.
Yeah, you can't. Like, right? If you a mid-range shooter, why the fuck are you shooting a three?
The threes,
like
half court sometimes.
Yeah, so stay in your lane. Everyone out here, we staying blessed. We staying chocolate. Hey, and boom. Blessings. Yeah.
Word two. Word, yo. Appreciate you, twin.
Nice to meet you, brody.
You want to drop the socials or anything?
Yeah. Add me up, Sharif. That's CHERIF_0. Nice to meat y'all. You heard?
Tap in JXJAYI. You know what I'm saying?
You already know. Bless.
JX Show. Can I get a hashtag JX Show?
JX Show.
Yes,
hashtag JX Show. You heard?
Yo, appreciate you, twin. Nah, bro. Good ass answers. Yo, who we here with? My name is Jacob.
My name is Naya.
You can squeeze and get in the shot.
Bella.
Come again. Say it one time.
Bella.
Bella and Naya.
Yep.
All right, so we outside. We was talking about the idea of relationships, appearances. What's the first thing y'all look for when you are interested in someone? Maybe see fine shit. Like what is it? Is it the looks? Is it the hair? How they the smile? What is it?
The looks and how tall they are.
Okay, where now? How tall are we looking for? What's the range?
Over 6 foot.
She said over 6 foot, guys. I'm cooked. I'll continue.
If they have a good smile and stuff.
Yeah.
If they have a good personality.
And how about you over here?
So I do be looking at height. I'm not gonna lie.
As you should.
I have a little bit of a preference, Hispanic, black, that range. And then if I start talking to them and they make me laugh or whatever, we vibing.
Now, do y'all think you would oversee that if you really like the person? Do you think someone that doesn't necessarily match your interests or your type can still get a conversation out of y'all type group?
Yeah, definitely with me.
Yeah.
You thought about it a little bit though. You don't want to waste your time type be like.
Yeah, I don't like wasting my time.
I mess with it. I respect it.
Yeah.
Do you think looks is more important than personality when it comes to relationship?
No. Personality is more important.
More important though?
Yeah.
I've been hearing different throughout the day though.
It's like 50-50.
Okay.
If the person's really, really ugly, then
it's cut. How about you?
I be giving people a chance more than she does because I like I get to know people a little bit more and I talk to them even if it's not the best because I feel like personality does matter a little bit more because that's somebody that you have to have a conversation with.
That's wise. Now, do you feel like do you ever regret giving someone a chance? Or do you ever get out of a situation like, damn, that nigga was ugly anyway?
No, because I learned from it and I know what to not do next time and what to look out for when it's red flags and stuff. But at least I have some life experience.
Okay, I hear you. Do you think beauty and appearance is that more important for the ladies or for the guys? Like, do you think it's necessary for a man to take care of his appearance, or do you want a man that is low key fine shit, pretty boy type beat or not?
Nah, I care more about hygiene than anything else.
Yeah, same.
If you're not that cute, I think it could be fixed with hygiene as long as you take care of yourself and shit.
Okay, that's a great point. How about you before I go on this?
Like she said, hygiene, it matters a lot. Because if you're dirty and ugly, that's just...
It's like, choose your battle.
Yeah.
You can't be dirty and ugly. Now you said taking care of yourself, really. You think there's a big difference between someone that's, just... waking up and kind of get one about it, someone that takes care of themselves, and then someone that overly cares about their looks?
Yeah.
Which part of the scale do you feel like you prefer?
I feel like there's a way to do it where you're clean, you look nice, you think about your outfit, you think about how you cleaning yourself or whatever, and then there's the point where you're like, oh, I'm acting like a chick. So I think there's a good in between of that, and you could tell with the person the more time you spend with them.
Yeah.
How about you?
Same thing she just said.
Y'all two seem very secure. Y'all secure people? Would you consider yourself secure?
What? Like insecure, secure? I think it depends.
Depends on the day. Depends on.
It depends on the person.
Yeah.
Well, talking about the attachment style type of thing.
Yeah.
Now, what about on a day to day? Do you feel like you're confident?
I feel like I'm pretty good. I feel like I appreciate being by myself. If I need to be by myself, I'm fine with that.
I mess with that.
Yeah.
Y'all two just twins. All right, yo. Safety, everybody. I appreciate you. Side over there. Hey, it's good to eat, though. All right, I'm going to start from this side. We're going to work our way down, okay? Who we here with?
Tyon.
Tyon, introduce yourself.
My name is Tyon. I dress up. You know, I look fly. I go out, have fun.
Yeah.
I play the bass. I also do poetry as well.
Boy.
Yeah, that's all it is about me.
Multifaceted individual here. And what's your name?
My name is Mel. I'm a model and a college student.
Okay, so this is a perfect conversation, you know, with individuals that I feel as though may have something to add. You have experience as a model, you know, in the industry or doing, you know, your shoots.
Yes.
Why do you feel modeling portrays a certain type of look? Do you think it is what is standard? Do you think it is what is unique? What's your perspective on modeling in that environment?
Me personally, I feel like it depends on the brand, because certain brands do look for certain looks, and they have like their own set standard where they'll go out and they'll see a person that if they feel it matches their brand, they're like, oh, you know what, we need you, like, come join our stuff.
Okay, I'm hearing. So you're saying it may really depend on, you know, their own brand identity as opposed to like a total standardization all across platforms.
Yes.
Now, how about you? What do your opinion, your perspective on the idea of, you know, maybe like seeing modeling shoots, seeing people involved in the industry, or even just the idea of looks as a whole? Do you think it's such an important thing we should worry about? Or do you think, you know, it's just appearance, it's just our shell of a body?
Okay, so for me personally, since I'm new to this, like modeling, you know, world, I have a friend who models quite like often, and I always ask him advice. Like every time someone doing a shoot, I'm like, oh, like you think they will take me? He's like, sometimes just gotta go in there and expect them to really either choose you or not choose you. And if they don't choose you, you know, it's okay. You're gonna have multiple, you know, other shoots and other visions for your, you know, to portray your character, but you're not really portraying your character, you're portraying someone else's legacy, you know, their art that they really want to meet eye to eye. But, you know, that's why they're so picky, you know, because someone has a brand like, I don't know, that's more tailored towards specific, like, people, right?
Like a Tommy Hilfiger, maybe like more like sleek, I guess.
Yeah, sleek, clean cut. Yeah, like, but yeah, they want to really do a good job on that. So it's like they're really picky on that. But I'm new to it, so I don't know much.
But that's a unique perspective. I think that's complete facts. Like, you know, depending on what someone is looking for, they're gonna, I guess, target one more specific type of like product, model, you know, an employee. Now, on a personal level, have y'all heard this thing called Looksmaxxing, the thing people be doing with the bone smashing?
Yeah.
See, listen, this is very, very adjacent to the industry, to creative artists. Even appearing on camera, they take it very seriously. You say, oh my God, you say, what do we think about it? I'm gonna ask you first.
Me personally, it's like a half and half. Like, I hate it because like people are just very centered around their looks, but I feel like if you feel the need to, like, I want to work on myself, like some of them are good, like good sources, but some of them can be very detrimental.
Some of them kind of like what? What's an example of detrimental?
I've heard of like people going on water diets just to like skin down.
Oh, like only water?
Literally only water.
Man, I can't.
Only water. I could not.
See, I'm a big bag. I need my cookies and cream, ice cream, my oil, my milkshakes.
Exactly.
Like, it gets to a point. Like, I understand. Like, sometimes you want results, but at what, you know, to what end? To what, at what cost?
Like, there's healthier ways of achieving what you want to achieve.
Now, what are your thoughts on the whole Looksmaxxing thing?
I fully agree with it. It's in this world today, you know, it gets to a point, you know what I mean? Like the friend I was talking about, the modeling person, like he had some like issues, you know, upcoming, and he completely transformed himself, and it's like now he's like the top, you know, model of what they're looking for, you know, as in like physique and, you know, that facial when they want you to have that walk, you know what I mean? Not like some sluggish walk. I feel like it's also more of like how you carry yourself, right?
Facts.
So, and really, sure, you can look good, right? But can you really carry yourself well in that photo shoot? You know what I mean? Can you show on time? You know, good punctuation. You got to build that portfolio, and it's really about the effort you put in, you know, for yourself.
Can I ask you a question about that? I may cut you off, but you were saying, for example, like how you walk, how you carry yourself.
Yeah.
You know, I had a conversation with someone earlier, and we were discussing people have like traumas they're scarred from. Maybe they were chopped, to use a lack of a better word. Listen, I can say that I was real ones know, yo, if you were chopped before, you can say chopped later. But not for real. Like, you were talking about, like, okay, people may have been scarred in the past, maybe a negative experience, and they've used Looksmaxxing as an avenue to, I guess, recuperate, recover, and I guess now to build some sort of confidence.
Yeah.
Do you feel as though the person that naturally has the confidence can outweigh that had to artificially maintain it? It's
oh man, I feel like I feel like confidence it brings you to a point, you know what I mean? Because once you're in that moment, you know, you could get nervous, right? And you're normally a confident person, right? And you were looking towards doing this shoot all day, and that one day you decided to eat more than what you can handle, you know what I mean? You bloated the next day. That confidence is out the roof, so it really also determines how much you show up for yourself. But it's also a lot of sacrifice in like those shoots, and like really being there mentally, physically. So it's like you can look max, but you really gotta, you know, you can't look max into like Tuesday and not do it Wednesday. You really gotta dedicate yourself to it, you know what I mean?
That's interesting. So it's almost like a way of life in a way.
Exactly.
And going back to what you were saying,
I was trying to give y'all time. I wasn't trying to mess up the flow. I see that you got. It's just unfortunately
the stand thing, right?
just the fact that it's on the table.
On the table?
We stand.
Okay.
Like it's set up like for me. If you just, I know it sounds dumb.
I'm hearing.
I know it sounds dumb, but if you just hold it, no problem.
We just would
I know it sounds dumb. Trust me.
Thank you so much.
Be out here bothering y'all.
I appreciate that.
Appreciate the time you gave us.
Quick question. Can I put my backpack here? Can I put it on top of my backpack? You had mentioned and said that, you know, it's kind of a process, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Right? And then we had mentioned that, you know, sometimes it can get to a point though. Like it gets to a point. It gets to a point. So my question is, do you think that these results are sometimes, you know, worth it or necessary? Have you seen people get what they want as a result of taking these extreme measures? I'm not saying you necessarily condone it, you know, or, you know, are insulting anyone that has gone taking these things, but do you feel as though that there is, you know what I'm saying, some sort of benefit?
From what I've seen and like heard so far, people have definitely gotten the results they wanted. Like I personally feel like I can't do that.
What do you think it is that people, you know, are truly looking for as a result of this whole Looksmaxxing and trying to, you know, validate themselves, whether it's through career or through beauty or through whatever feature or attribute that they, you know, want to be seen for? What do you think at the end of the day it is?
I definitely say to take it like the healthy route, because people like if you keep developing these habits and like, let's say, starving yourself, drinking water, doing these excessive workouts, thinking it's gonna lead you somewhere. Sure, it's gonna lead you somewhere, but you're also gonna get these side effects that are gonna damage you in like the long term.
Yeah. You're not gonna be able to even reap the benefits.
Exactly.
Of the things you're grinding
You can't be like hot and all that if you're dead. Like,
wait, that's a bar.
You go in the casket like, oh, I'm high and sexy, but I'm dead.
Yo, my dead body mobs all y'all living bodies, and that's
I can't be alive to experience it because I'm dead. Like,
that's a sad reality too, because people are not really caring about people are not really caring about long-term effects of these things, and that's kind of questionable because it's like you do all this, you're grinding, you get to whatever position, you finally get the chiseled head, some Squidward jawline, but there's no bikini bottom.
Exactly.
You're done.
It's a void.
It's a void. It's empty. And at the end of the day, like, you only have this one life. You only have this one body. So, you know, I'm gonna ask y'all, you know, one more follow-up question. Do you feel like, you know, looks is important when it comes to a relationship aspect? Do you think it is the end all be all? Would you balance looks with personality, or, you know, what draws your attention? All these, you know, questions. You scratching the chin. You think it?
Me personally, I feel like I've gotten into enough relationships to a point where I kind of see that it's normally, I wouldn't say it's more of a physical thing. It's more of like a personality thing, right? Because I feel like as a guy, there's times where I was like obviously like awed over, right, or infatuated, but there were times when people got bored really easy. Well, whether it was like how I looked or whether it was how I talked, right? Like I was a nerd, you know what I mean? Like I was talking about birds, trees.
I still am a nerd. Nothing wrong with that though.
And there's people that don't like that.
Facts.
And then there's people that like they see like, oh, like he's like, you know, he's a good looking person, right? But it gets some people like don't really like go off that, because for me I couldn't keep my facial hair in relationships. They would always force me to cut it off, you know what I mean? I find that really weird. But you know, it's kind of
trying to tell you like if you grew it out. Did you want to grow it out?
Yeah, I did, but it still wasn't enough. You know what I mean? It was like, oh, I can't stand it. Just shave it, and that really kind of, it's like I was restricted to not being myself in relationships, which is why I'm not in one right now, because every time I'm with someone, they're always limiting my true inner self, right? Like, I want to grow facial hair. I think I look good with a mustache.
Yeah, I see
a beard. You know, it gets, I don't know, it's kind of hard to grow one, so I shave it off anyways, but the mustache I'm going to keep, you know what I mean?
What I'm giving, my Nigerian genetics are not hitting.
Yeah, I'm a...
Yo!
I'm Ghanaian. We're like sworn enemies.
Yo, interview over. Alright, it's been real. We're gonna get back to that. Bro, the eggs got to my
I
head.
feel like, you know, I feel like the soul matters more than the body, you know what I mean?
You're spitting.
But, you know, the body is a nice thing to look at, right?
For sure.
But if you can't really... It's like asking somebody, would you rather be deaf or blind, right? Like, would you rather hear their voice or would you rather be able to look at them, right? And I feel like if you can hear their voice, that's very... It kind of soothes you, you know what I mean? Like, listening to music is very... it's an art, right?
Right.
But when you look with your eyes, you know, it's so much that you can take into, right? Sure, you can see things, but you can't really hear it, you know what I mean? And hearing things is very important, because if you close your ears more and you open your mouth, no. You close your mouth and you open your ears more, you learn a lot, you know what I mean?
Thanks. We have one mouth and 2 ears for a reason.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's all complete bars in my opinion, because at the end of the day, you know, if I muted this and you just were only going off of visuals, it's a completely different experience versus actually hearing what we're saying. You know, the inflection of the voice, the background ambience, the noise, and it's kind of like that. Like, you meet someone and there's a foreground. Is what you see, but what is actually lying under the surface? What is more to this person? Is there anything that's deeper possibly? And, you know, these are the important questions. So I'm gonna ask you now, unfortunately, I guess the Ghanaian. What do you
go right now?
I can fight. Like, I'm not scared. I want to smoke. You see that weak ass punch? Like, yo. What do you think?
Anyway,
Continue.
before I was so rudely interrupted, right? Me personally, I feel like it's a half and half thing, because I feel like society looks more on looks in general. Like, I've seen a whole lot of couples, like, let's say the guy don't look too well, or like the girl don't look too well, and they're doing much better than people that actually look good. And I remember it was like a trend on TikTok. I think it was a magazine, Vogue, that posted just like, oh, is having a boyfriend embarrassing now?
Yes,
and I saw that, I'm like, ain't no way. Like, cause in general, if you meet somebody, the first thing you go off is looks.
For sure. That's kind of like if you deny that, you're being disingenuous.
Yeah, you're just seeing stuff. Like, you're just seeing stuff. Like, if you're going down the street, you see somebody who's attractive, you're like, oh, this person's attractive. Let me go talk to them. Like, if you walk down the street, you see somebody that doesn't look your type, you're obviously not even gonna.
He's not even registering to.
Not even. Like, I feel like people see looks first before they see personality. Like, you see this fine person, you get to know them, you're like, oh, this person's like this, like that. But the thing is, not many attractive people like have a certain personality that you want, and not many non-attractive people have the same personality that you want. Like, you'll never know what you're gonna get until like you explore your options and you like figure out what you want.
It's like you know, the entrance to a store in a way. You know, someone may have the big billboard, they may have the bright neon signs, but when you get into the store, it's bad, and no one wants to be like hoodwinked, bamboozled, or led astray. You know what I'm saying? And you bring up a great point where it's like, okay, yes, this is important, but what more is there? And sometimes it's almost like back-to-back convenient people, you know, they have that appearance, but they may not have the compatibility, the chemistry we do. And that's a big part of these relationships where people aren't realizing chemistry is what's going to take you longer. It's almost what you said with longevity. What's the point of having the health or having the looks if you do not have the health? Why be stuck in the grave mogging people in a casket when you have a whole life to live? Why be in a relationship where, okay, they look good, but I can't spend more than 2 minutes with this individual? I can't be my authentic self with them. I can't express myself in a way where I feel comfortable and where I feel seen and/or heard. You know what I'm saying? Beautiful ways to think about it. You know, I thank y'all for sharing your time with me. Even the Ghanaian, you know what I'm saying? My guy, you cool. Listen, when you said the Nigerian thing, I thought you were going to assume that I'm a toxic, evil Nigerian demon. Evil Nigerian demon. But it's not what's in front of the store that matters. It's the actual quality of the items. Full of watery jollof rice.
My jollof rice is better though.
Eggs with every meal. You can't even deny it.
Are you mugging me right now?
Well, in what metric?
Any?
Status mugging.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, like I might be status mugging you, maybe. I don't know. You're fine. Like potentially, money mugging. Who's to say, right? I don't know. But like, you know, those are different types of mogs that you could achieve on someone. It doesn't only pertain to looks,